everybody, and welcome along to One Hub Racing Season 25 of the P1 tier as we head to the Singapore Grand Prix at the Marina Bay circuit, just like we are in real life earlier on today. No spoilers for those of you that haven't watched the race yet, but surely you would have watched the race by now. My name is Jess Jesper, one of your commentators throughout this evening's race, and joining me once again in the commentary box, we've got Mike Edwards. Mike, welcome, and it's a unique track, isn't it, on the calendar, and a very, very hard one for the drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, the Singapore circuit, very, very tricky. The walls ever enclosing on the circuit. We have seen some very good racing action here in the past, and of course, we're probably looking forward to some more racing action here tonight. And side by side through some of these corners, it can get very, very, very close to the walls and possible front wings loss. So let's see what the drivers here tonight are going to be made of.
Yeah, and we thought we were going to get rain today in the adaptive weather system, but no, the wheel decided that the race should be dry today, which for many drivers is going to be an absolute relief. So a bit of information about this track. First used in 2008, it was one of two new street tracks introduced as part of the 2008 season, and it's pretty much a fan favourite for quite a few people, but it's really hard for the drivers in real life. Another circuit designed by Herman Till. We do have, Mike, one driver taking their engine penalty, the first driver to do so this season in the P1 tier, and that is our championship leader, Tony. So how the engine penalties are going to work is a lot different this season because we have the lobby restart. So once we do the lobby restart, 10 places will be added to Tony's grid slot. So for example, if he was meant to start on pole, he'll start 11th. If he was meant to start second, he'll start 12th, etc, etc, etc. So Tony can still do his qualifying lap, and I expect him to be quite quick anyway around this track if practice was anything to go by as well. But again, I was expecting more, but Tony seems very confident, I think, around this track, considering he's taken his engine penalty here, or maybe he wanted to do this engine penalty soon because he may not like this track. Who knows?
Well, I think obviously after last week's fantastic result for Tony, coming into tonight, he's got a nice little gap in the championship. So it seems quite logical for him to take the engine penalty here tonight, just because he has that gap and he knows he can play around with it and have that little bit of flexibility with the rest of the field.
Yeah, and we've seen obviously Lawrence in the P2 tier earlier on take his engine penalty. He started on pole. Well, he was meant to start pole, then he did 10 place grid penalty, dropped into 11th, and he still won the race. So I'm expecting, I think, similar things to Tony due to how quick he is on this game. And speaking of standings, let's go through the standings right now. And as said Tony is leading the way by around 18 points to Atzlock. Atzlock is having a really great season. We were just talking off air about how consistent he has been. His best result came in round number 3, and he also got some great results in round 4 as well last week in Baku. 5th in the sprint and 4th in the feature. Points in every single race as well. Never finished outside the top 8. And I'm surprised that he's the one in second and not Matteo, but Matteo did DNF in the sprint, and in the feature he did not do quite as well. I don't see him in the lobby currently, so he could drop way down the field compared to his rivals. But Axelot, very, very impressed that he's so high up the order in terms of the standings, Mike.
Yeah, Axlock has done incredibly well so far this season. Of course, stepping up from P2 last season to P1 this season. Very consistent performances from him. With Matteo, of course, the DNF, as you mentioned in the sprint race, it was unfortunate, but it was a disconnect for him in the feature race last time out, and he was unable to rejoin the lobby. So it would have been good to see him in Baku in the feature, just to see how high he could have got in that particular race, but the connection issue plaguing him, and hopefully he is able to be here tonight to try and close some points back on Tony, because he does not want to let Tony run away with the championship.
Yeah, I don't think Tony would want anyone to close into them at all. So yes, Tony and Axelot, definite standouts. Matteo really needs to step it up tonight. We've got Callum Unarmed in 4th place in the standings on 47 points, close followed by Nick, who had a really strong showing in Baku, along with Lukey in 6th. We've got a bit of a rivalry between those two this week, which we'll go through a little bit later on. Joint with Lukey in joint 6th is J. Carl on 38 points. So we've got Ben JS on 37. Unfortunately, Colin is retiring from One Hub Racing, league racing for a while, so he's not racing at all this season, but he remains in 9th spot. But we have got someone new joining the league, which is great to see. I'll tell you who that person is in just a second. And we got Casper in 10th on 31 points, NT in 11th on 9. Then we got Waitsy, Papa Squanch, Larkin, Samster. I don't think Samson's here tonight. Jake, Kamke, Barrett. He hasn't raced in a while. He's no longer going to be racing with us. And we got Leroy. And we've got 2 new drivers, and I'm not going to spoil who these are. You might have seen it just a little bit in a moment. We're about to get underway, but let's go through the constructors quickly, if you can read it, of course. Haas and leading the way on 101, Mercedes second on 76. Then we got McLaren and Kick Sauber on 56. Visa Cash App RB on 50 points. Aston Martin on 47. Williams on 46. Alpine on 45. The top 8 very close in terms of championship points. And we got Red Bull early on 6 points and Ferrari on 5 points. So the constructors holding up, I would say, between Haas and Mercedes. But I wonder if the new driver on Mercedes is going to do well tonight. But we'll have to wait and see. But Mike, we're about to get underway for some racing action. Normal qualifying this week, no sprint action. So yeah, it's just short qualifying, 18 minutes.
18 minutes for these guys to really dial into the circuit and try to set the fastest laps possible. And obviously with the changes in recent years, obviously taking a big chunk of that final sector out has really opened up a lot of possibilities for drivers when it comes to the race of making overtakes happen down towards I believe it's turn 16 now, if I remember correctly.
I'll need to check the chat map. There is the new edition is heading towards turn 14, 15, and 16. Yeah.
Yeah, so it opens up a lot of action down in towards that particular sequence of corners, and it just, in my opinion, I think there'll be a DRS zone added to that particular straight at some point, which will provide a bit more action. But
on F125.
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah, on F125. But yeah, we got all 60 drivers that we were expecting in the lobby. I think we're just waiting for J. Cole to join. So let me just get everything set up my end so you can all see those lovely people. So one of the new drivers racing tonight in a Mercedes, replacing Colin. He is not out on the circuit at the moment, is Malvin. I say he's quite similar pace to Colin, actually. So I'm excited to see what he can do out there as well. Always great to have some new blood in the league as well. And replacing Berra this season for the rest of the season, we have a familiar face, Kieran, in the lobby. So great to have him back in One Hub Racing. And it's quite hard sometimes to join a league or rejoin a league when they've already been like 4 rounds this season. So what's their expectations going into this race, do you think?
I think the expectation early on will just be to try and get some consistent points on the board. Of course, coming into the season after it's already started, you're not particularly going to be setting your sights on winning every single race. You just want to see where you stack up with the field first and foremost, and then kind of look at where you are in terms of pace and see, okay, where can I get to by the end of the season? So I think just making sure you get consistent points early on, that's what these two are going to be looking for.
Yep, so keep an eye on those two later on in the session. The predicted pole time, I would got to say, is around about the 126s for these guys. We saw the 127s in the P2 tier. So Casper, one of the first drivers to set a lap time. So let's go on board with him. He really likes his circuit, so we'll see what he could do heading towards turn number 1. You've got to be trail braking through here, heading towards 2, 3, and a little kink of turn 4. I don't usually call it a corner, but the game likes to think so. Braking for turn 5 starts right at the 50-meter mark. Position your car as far to the left as you possibly can. Now heading past turn 6 kink and in towards turn 7. A medium speed left-hander that requires a lot of position braking. Again, look for the 100-meter braking board. Turn number 8 coming up for you as well. Another right-hander, clip the inside apex and into 4th gear on exit of this corner as you head towards turn 9 and 10. I believe it's 4th gear through here as well. You can stay in 4th just a little bit more as well. And it's a decent back lap for Casper so far as you head towards turn 12 and 13 as he tries to get on the power with the ERS, heading towards now turn 14, the start of the sector 3, which is newly added from the last game, and it looked absolutely beautiful. It's tighter than you first think, and a lot of people, including myself, seem to get penalties and invalidations around here, so keep an eye on that throughout the race as he exits now in towards 16, 17, 18 and 19, and it's going to be a lap around this lovely circuit, 1:27.0, but as times come thick and fast, we expect those times to go even quicker.
Yeah, absolutely. A good banker there from Gasper, 27 flat. As you mentioned, we're going to expect times to get quicker, so I believe we'll be into the 26s pretty soon as Cam came on across the line with a 28.8. And there we go. As almost predicted, almost immediately, Cashman up there with a 26.9.
Of course, he missed the last few races. Great to have him back racing again for the rest of this season. He's been a very busy boy, and I think he's been very excited to race for the rest of this season now as Casper, Lukey occupy the top 3. Let's keep an eye on Tony, the driver taking his engine penalty. He just started his lap. Papa Squanch going through the middle sector. Nick came across the line in P5. Let's watch the newest driver as he exits turn 2 and 3, heading towards turn 5 now. Very precise braking through there goes Malvin, and he's quite low expectations for him, but if he does well, that would really help the likes of Nick as a 26.2 for Malvin. That is looking pretty good, but I would expect him to go into the 125s coming up through there as well. Oh, he almost had a little bit of an off there, but he's using all the track which is to be expected around here as Tony looking very good on under the bridge there. This looks like a tidy lap from Tony so far. Oh, nope, I spoke too soon, Mike. Commentator's curse. He's going to kill me.
Yeah. Oh, as I was on board with Melvin, a little love tap of the wall.
Same as
coming
Tony.
in towards the hairpin.
Same as Tony.
It's a double commentator curse right there for the two drivers as Melvin there did a 2.8 in the middle sector. So we're going to see what he can do, but he is still going on his lap. He is still pushing, even though he had that small little tap as J. Cole has left the session as well as retired, I believe.
That is, I think, one feature where if you leave the session, it retires you. It is a lovely feature on this game, I must say, as we just see Malvin come across the line in P6, matching Nick almost. So very impressive that he is on the pace straight away to his teammate, which is always great to see. The first person you would want to beat is your teammate. And speaking of them, one of the Mercedes boys, Nick, he was called into the rivalries along with Lukey, who had a very good battle last time out in Baku. They've been racing a lot wheel to wheel, and the question that the press have put to them is who's going to be the biggest sweat come the end of the season, and who do you think is the favourite for the driver's title? And they're both in the pits now, so I can't go on board with them, but Nick says Lukey will always be the biggest sweat. There's no beating around the blush around this. He knows it, I know it, everyone knows it, and Cliffy will win the title if he can keep his nose clean and stay out of trouble. I agree with Nick's answer. I don't think Tony could win the title. Lukey is saying Nick's always sweating always. He was doing practice at 10 a.m. this morning, this massive sweat. I was in that same lobby, so I can't really complain. Tony is super quick, and on his day, easily the quickest in the tier. If he doesn't win the championship, I'll be massively surprised. So both of them agreeing with each other that Tony is the favourite for the driver's title, and I agree with them as well, as Tony is currently fastest.
And both of them also agreeing that the other one is the biggest sweat. So this is going to be interesting because they, as you mentioned, they have been racing quite a lot wheel to wheel this season, and you know, both of them saying that the other one will sweat even more. But it's around a circuit like this, I think everyone would need to sweat because it is one of those circuits where if you come in without a good amount of practice, you're going to be in the wall in no time at all.
Yeah, and I know these two are putting a lot of practice. Let's just say, if I was to ask who was the biggest sweat, I would say Lukey. You know what? As soon as Baku was over, he was on Singapore time trial. Yes, he was on Singapore time trial. But Nick was also practicing the next day on Monday. So they're both as equally as sweaty. So, 9 minutes to go. Everyone else is on out laps right now as they make their way through the circuit. Race is about to start his lap. We have quite a few invalidations thus far, but as Waity heads towards the final few corners, what's it going to be for the Aston Martin driver? A 1:27.7 for him. I'm trying to see if he's responded to the pre-race interviews, because that would have been a quite little segue. Not many people have done their pre-race interviews for this week, which makes it quite hard, but we'll go through the questions and just later on, maybe just a little bit interlude in the break. So Callum's on a lap as well. There's quite a lot of traffic getting towards sector 1, so people just got to make sure that they do not give each other the toe, because otherwise it's going to cost them a little bit. As we're seeing one of the Red Bulls move out the way there.
Yep, one of the Red Bulls getting out of the way of, I believe that is Callum Anand, who's on a fast lap right now. Big snap at the rear end for him as he comes through towards the old Singapore sling right now. Breaking down 4th gear, making sure he keeps tight to open up the right-hander now, head towards the hairpin. Hopefully does not tap the wall like we saw earlier with Melvin and, of course, Tony.
All good.
Right now, front row lockout for the Haas pairing, and Callum Anand is going to be looking to try and break that up, that is for sure.
Yep, he is. Of course, he's also a consistent driver when it comes to the championship, but didn't do as well in the feature race. He got second in the sprint race, but dropped a little bit in the feature. But maybe Singapore could be a chance for him to pick up the pace a little bit and go back to his normal, consistent ways. As Callum goes up to the line, 11th, so stays where he is. Not the best time I would have thought for Callum. And I think we can start to see who has put in the practice and who hasn't, aka who is the biggest sweat and who is not. As we currently have a Haas 1-2. It's weird that the times are not popping up of who's fastest on my screen, which is very annoying. So I'm going to have to look at the left-hand side a bit more. As Axelot came across the line, P3. Look at the top 5, all in the 126s and all separated by 1-2 tenths.
Yeah, and not only that, you got Lukey's on the 27th flat as well. Melvin's just started his lap, so we'll see if he can find some time out here. Could potentially have a bit of a long-range tow down the long DRS straight, but I believe that is a Alpine getting swiftly out of the way. So good going there from, I believe that was Larkin. As Melvin, he is just up on his sector 1 time, Jess.
Yep, he is. So he's finding a bit more time. Of course, he only found out he was racing a few days ago, so had not much time to practice compared to anybody else, and of course his teammate. And there is a yellow flag, but I think there's just people moving out the way. People might be running out of fuel. A little bit of a bump of the curb there for Malvin, so he's probably lost quite a bit of time, but we'll see if he's up or down in the sector 2 split in just a moment. Not quite sure what gear he was in that corner, but we will check in just a second. 3 tenths up, so he's still improving, but without that bounce of the curb, he could have found a bit more time, as Malvin is, I think, going to be roughly as Tony goes fast to the 126.4. What a lap from the Haas driver. That is absolutely incredible from Tony. We will probably get some lap times put on TikTok because we really want to see that lap time as Malvin goes 7, but I think that would have been way quicker and would have matched potentially his teammate if he didn't have that squirm at the curb. So that's everybody that's done their second laps and about to do their final lap soon. But to be honest, I'm not really that surprised. The top 2 currently, but don't forget Tony with his engine penalty. He won't be starting on pole. He'll, if he pretty much qualifies on pole, he'll be starting 11th, and that's the best place to be with an engine penalty, qualifying on pole.
Yeah, absolutely. Tony doing everything he needs to do right now to minimize the effect of the engine penalty. Right now, it's very interesting. Of course, the top two in the constructors, McLaren and of course Haas, literally shared the front two rows of the grid so far.
McLaren and Haas. Oh, that's going to be interesting. And obviously, not having his teammate back in this week, that's going to maybe help him a bit more. I'm not sure if they're in the party or not. It is really hard to tell these days. But, you know, we've got, to be honest, we almost got a Mercedes 5.6, but I think we've got a Mercedes powered engines 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, if I can count that. Kieran, very impressive lap time as well in 8, but I know he can go quicker as well because he always seems to match Casper's time in some tracks. As Waitsy's a bit out of sync compared to everybody else, but I wonder if he's... Yeah, he's on the lap, I think. I'll keep an eye on it. Yes, he's on the lap. He is using his overtake, heading past in towards turn 5. The king of turn 6 coming up then. We'll see if he's found a bit more time. He's 2 temps up, so that would put him the 127.5. How was that not an invalidation? I don't know, but he needs to keep the car in a straight line. Very nice through this section. 4th gear. Oh, again, a bit of a wheel spin going through that corner. That would have probably lost a bit of time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm currently on board with Casper, who's in behind him, and 4,000's up on his sector one time, so he's trying to improve as well. Because with Tony taking that 10th place grid penalty, Casper's really trying to start himself from the best position possible.
Yeah, because if Tony starts pole and he's second, well, Casper will be starting on pole position, as that was very close to the wall. He's definitely maximising the track as much as he can. He loves this track, as I was saying, as he exits into 14, 15 and 16. Very nicely done from Casper. What's it going to be for the Haas driver trying to close up in the championship? Here's a 126.4, not enough for pole position, but he's a few hammers shy of his teammate. But don't forget, that will be enough for starting pole anyway, so you should be absolutely fine. Callum now is on a lap. He's almost 2 tenths up in the first sector.
Yeah, and Callum needs a big lap here, starting right now down in P13, which means he won't be able to get ahead of Tony if Tony was to take his engine penalty right now. But Callum trying to find some time, middle sector split, 9 tenths up, 9.5 tenths up right there for Callum. So this is exactly what he needs.
Yeah, this is definitely the lap that he was looking for in the RB car. So we'll see. Here he comes then. Very tight. Nice done on the line as well. A little bit unsettling the curb. I think a lot of drivers are going to struggle with that right now. He's going to be out of sync compared to everybody else. But 127.0 is still not in the 126s, and I think that will probably be enough, as we got a yellow flag of someone moving out of the way, it looks like, at the moment. Let's watch Konzo as he just started his run. Yeah, he's the only one that just started this one because everyone else is out on an out lap. So he's got one chance to do it. I thought I just saw someone go off there in the background, but it was probably me imagining things. No, I think it was one of the Red Bulls. It was Leroy moving out of the way. Yes, it was Leroy moving out of the way. Who's your pick for pole position, Mike? Can anybody stop Tony, or do you think one of the McLarens or maybe the Mercedes-powered teams can beat him? Well, it's not going to be Waity.
In terms of pole prediction, I'll see with Tony taking that 10th place penalty, I think he will get pole position, but we will be starting from 11th. I think Casper has done enough on that lap to secure the pole position time. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if Axelot, Cashman, Nick, Lukey, and Melvin are going to be able to find the time. In fact, Konzo is finding some time right now. He's over 8 tenths up on his lap.
That was a lovely section heading towards the final sector. It is absolutely satisfying if you get it right. And Konzo is absolutely putting the foot to the floor, ready to start and finish his final lap. Here he comes then. Foot to the floor in 6th gear through the final corner. 10th place. Much better lap time for the Ferrari drivers. Callum has retired from the session. That is his lap over, of course, because he did not have enough time. Papa Squanch is a few hummers down in the first sector, but as long as he can improve on sector 2 and sector 3, he might still improve on his lap time. Let's look at Tony, our current pole sitter. He's 2 times up on his own time, Mike.
Yeah, he's 2 times up on his time. Cashman, though, is around about 4 times up in the middle sector split, so it's very close to him and Casper right now.
Yep, it is. And Casper obviously isn't able to make it in time. Tony lost that time in the middle sector, so he was struggling a little bit. But let's watch Cashman up to the line. Is it going to be enough for the front row? Well, yes, because Tony will be starting in P11 at the moment. So at the moment, yes, unless his teammate or anyone else can say anything about it. We've got one of the Red Bulls going across the line. That is Leroy. He could only manage 15th right now, as we've got Larkin through the middle sector. His teammate is somewhere. No, it's not his teammate. It's Entity in the cross line in 6th place. We've got Papa Squanch in 12th. He was able to improve just by a few tenths per second. Very, very impressive from the Kick Sauber driver. So we got Lukey going up to the line now. He's a few tenths up in the middle sector. That'll put him definitely near Nick, Axlot, Jake territory. So let's see, 126.5, 3rd place at the moment. Lukey could be on the front row. What about Axlot? Can only manage in 5th spot. Nick goes up to the line. 6th spot for him. His teammate Malva could only manage in 8th spot. Catboy Key, also known as Kieran, he's going up to the line. He's 3 times up. He goes into 8th spot. And then Cam is going to be the last driver to cross the line. And it's going to be 50th. So the Red Bulls are not starting very well. But we got Tony taking his engine penalty. That's not going to affect him too much. So Tony will be starting 11th in the main race, but it'll be Casper that'll be starting in P1 and Lukey on the front row. Brilliant stuff from him. And Jake Cashman on his return to the league, starting in 3rd position with a full McLaren 3-3-4 right now. This looks like it's going to be a very entertaining race.
Yeah, absolutely. And with Tony starting down in 11th place. So a lot of good drivers for Tony to try and get his way through, and it's going to be interesting to see how he does that. And obviously, you're going to think about the team game as well. Obviously, a couple of teammates are ahead of him, including the McLaren pair.
Yeah, indeed. So I think if your teammate is nearby, that can help you a little bit. Let's just hope it doesn't come back to bite you during safety cars. So Tony, by 3/100ths of a second, qualified in P1. Casper in 2nd. It'll be Lukey, then Cashman, Axlot, Nick, Entity, Kieran, Malvin. Great qualifying result on his debut in 100 racing. Then we've got Callum and Waity will be starting 10th. Then we got Tony, then Conzo, Papa Squanch, Larkin, Cam, Leroy, and then Jake will be starting from the back because he hasn't set a time. Just a reminder, for those of you that are new to 100 racing, we will have a lobby restart. So we could set all the grid penalties, since then Tony will be starting in 11th spot, and it'll be kind of like a demolition derby. You don't get to see it, unfortunately, but it's just a chance. Maybe some people will be practicing the starts. That's what I do sometimes in these kind of dummy lobby that I just practice the start and then just retire straight away after that, just so I could get a feel ready for the race. But who would you keep your eye on going into this race? Because, of course, we've got Tony stuck with his engine pen. I can see him climbing up the field. We've seen quite a few people getting penalties in the P2 tier. I think it's just about, for some people, keeping it clean. I think as long as you finish, you should be getting points. But in the P2 tier, Mike, we only saw 1 safety car.
Yeah, and in terms of the safety cars, normally this track, you do expect to see 1, maybe 2 safety cars of some sort, possibly a virtual safety car along with a full course one. But in terms of who I'm going to keep my eye on in terms of the race, I'm keeping my eye on the guy that'll be starting from P3. I'm going to keep my eye on the McLaren and Cashman, because it's definitely going to be interesting to see how he gets on in the race pace. Very good in qualifying, and I think he's got something for the race pace.
Yeah. I know Cashman, he likes night races. He always done well. I do remember in the other league that runs on a Thursday night that I'm not going to say for reasons. He likes night races. He likes Bahrain. He likes Jeddah. So, yeah, that is definitely someone that I'm going to keep my eye on as well. And J. Cole's a little sweat, because he got kicked out of the session. He was doing some time trial laps whilst everyone was doing their quali laps. So who's the bigger sweat now, eh, Mr. J. Cole? Hey, if you're watching the stream? Yeah, I think we're gonna have a debate here on who's gonna be the biggest sweat. I think J. Cole will probably win that one. Expect him to win by like 20 seconds. Only joking. So luckily the demo lobby has just concluded. So Lukey will be setting the grid up for you very, very soon, and we can get a chance to go through these lovely pre-race interviews and drivers' press conference. Speaking of drivers' press conference, let's go to the man who's starting on pole position due to Tony's penalty, of Casper. He was asked, he's had a great start to the season. Recent races have been a bit inconsistent for him. And he was asked, do you feel you could battle back, and where do you feel you can finish come the end of the season? He's not sure, he says, but he hasn't really been able to maximise his results as he would have liked. Mainly qualifying has been a problem. Well, it's not a problem tonight for him, because it has been absolutely fantastic for the Haas driver. And thanks to that, he's usually in awkward positions, racing against drivers that he shouldn't fight with. And he said he can indeed battle back, just need to work with setups a bit to get more comfortable in qualifying. Again, that's helped him today. And he's got a pace, but execution needs to be perfect in his highly competitive tier. And he's hoping to aim for the Constructors' Championship with Tony. And personally, that top 5 will be nice, but it'll be anything but easy. I agree. Well, he's saying he's not good at qualifying. Well, he just proved us wrong in the qualifying just now. Qualified second, starting on pole in the main race. I think he's found a setup that he really likes in qualifying.
Yeah, and not only that, in comparison to Tony's laps, I mean, we know how Tony is absolutely rapid. He was only 13 thousandths off the back of Tony, so showing that he's very competitive with his teammate in terms of qualifying pace around here. Race pace might be a different story, but he's got to be very happy with that qualifying result.
Yeah, I would be. I think I would be probably dreaming if I was to do ever sort of lap times. And Casper was asked whether he was going to take his engine penalty this week. He said it would be dumb to take that penalty on this tricky track. To be fair, I was debating whether to do. It was between Singapore and Baku and whether to take my engine penalty. But in a way, I'm kind of glad I didn't take my engine penalty around this track as well. Casper said he would rather have chance in the wet than in dry, but obviously it's dry at the moment. I'm just seeing if anyone else has responded to the pre-race interviews. There's a few drivers that haven't had chance to do practice because it's been a manic week, Nick being one of them. But Nick has probably nailed this out at the moment. There's one driver that, based on the pre-race interviews, that's looking very confident going into this one, and that is Atzok. He really likes the track, and he knows qualifying is key, and he's been practicing a lot of quali runs before the race, which has really helped him as well. So I'm keeping my eye on him. There's another driver that's looking very confident as well, and that is Lukey. So there's a few drivers to keep an eye on based on the pre-race interviews. And there's one thing that a lot of drivers have in common, whether they think the weather happens to be mixed conditions, how do they feel about their wet weather style. They don't like the wet. So that is one commonality against all the drivers that responded to the pre-race interviews.
Yeah, rain around Singapore is not something that the drivers really look forward to. It's very difficult in the dry, never mind in the wet, to hook up a lap around Singapore. So everyone, I think, will be very pleased and overjoyed that it is dry at least.
Yeah. And I think it was about 52 minutes of PT race, but that was with a safety car. But I think without the safety car, it's around about 48 minutes. I think that was what the race time came to be, where we were doing some practice earlier. Mark Atzlot was saying he bottles qualifying. I thought it was a decent qualifying for Atzlot. You never know, maybe getting the toe towards the turn 3 and 4 could help him a little bit. So it's not an over Atzlot if you're watching the stream back. There's still plenty of opportunities for you to get some overtakes, as we've just been told by the lovely Lukey that the drivers will be readying up now so we can get some racing underway, and we'll get your grid confirmed for you ASAP too. So watch this space. Let us know your thoughts in the chat on who you think is going to win this one. I saw Casper in the chat who says he's very happy with his lap. Luke is very happy with his lap as well. So good responses from our front row pairing. We'll see who gets the edge of the start very, very soon as well.
Yeah, absolutely. As the grid has been set, Tony going to be starting from P11. How high up the order is he going to get? A lot of good drivers in front of him for him to try and overtake. It's going to be a very different prospect to what he had in the in Baku last week, starting from a similar position, I might add.
He was third.
He
He started third, I think, last week and finished second. And him and Nick were pretty much similar pace as well. So, and it's kind of similar track in terms of what tyres people would use as well. Kind of wish that some people may have gambled and may done the double medium, but it's always good to have two hards to your disposal as well. So we could see a variety of different strategies as well. We've seen a few people start on the soft tyres in the P2 tier, myself included, but they really go off after 3-4 laps. So you would want to go on to a set of the mediums or the hards very quickly, but there could be a chance of some early safety cars. So we'll keep an eye on the garages to see what tyres people choose. I can see the Red Bull garage very, very closely on my screen, so we'll keep an eye on it. But I know Leroy will probably have some tricks up his sleeve there as well. I believe J. Cole is back in the lobby, so he'll be starting at the back of the grid. Great to see quite a few people watching as well, which is great to see. And we know we had 19 at one point, but those were a few of the drivers, I think, so they tuned out, which is fair enough. So we're about to go racing. No rain, but I wonder, with the overcast nature in the middle of the race, how would that affect the tyres? I don't think anything will affect the tyres because it's a midnight race.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be a massive effect on the tyres if it goes overcast in the middle of the race. But for a lot of these drivers as well, it's normally once it starts going overcast and everything, you know, you might see it affect some drivers in terms of where they're braking, and maybe you know, they use a particular shadow or just a rough estimation of a particular shadow, which you should never use in my opinion. But with it being a night race, that's not going to apply to anyone out there, so I don't think it's going to affect anything.
No, it's not going to, which is a shame. I kind of wish there was a bit of rain at the beginning or at the end of the race just to spice things up a bit. But who knows? We may get it next week at the Mystery Grand Prix, which the drivers voted on. And I'm really looking forward to that one. I'm sure a few drivers will be as well. Most of the drivers know, but none of you guys know as well. It will be revealed next week on socials, so keep an eye on that. A few information about how many laps the track's going to be. 31 laps, 19 corners, 12 to the left, 7 to the right, 3 DRS zones, 4 added to the next game, and the circuit length 4.940 kilometers. Nicola Soro won in the top tier last time out, where we were here in season 23 in the Haas. Obviously he's not here at the moment, so it looks like the Haas go very strong, because that was the last race winner in the P1 tier was from a Haas driver.
Will history be repeated again? I mean, we got a Haas on pole position. We've got a Haas taking his engine penalty starting from P11 and is leading the championship right now. Will history repeat itself with another Haas driver taking victory here?
Yep, as tradition dictates, you never know, and as tradition dictates from earlier on, spoiler alert if you haven't watched the Grand Prix, in 3, 2, 1, Max Verstappen can't win around Singapore, it seems. I think it was about a big gap compared to the driver who finished in P1. Don't worry, I won't spoil who got P1, but it was a big gap. So just waiting for the ready up call from our tier coordinator, and we've just got it. So we're about to go for the formation lap, and we will keep an eye on the tyres, and we'll run through your order as well, because there's some slight changes due to obviously Tony taking his engine penalty. So here we go then, we'll keep an eye on this. So Casper will be starting in P1, and Lukey in second, and Cashman in third. All the top 3 will be starting on the mediums. Atslot will be starting on the softs in P4. Nick has gone for a really interesting strategy. He's the only person that's gone for the hards in P5. Entity in P6, Kieran in P7, Melvin in P8, Callum and Armed in P9. They're all starting on the medium compound of tyres. Waitsy in 10th, he's also on the mediums. Tony in 11th, he's on the softs. That's where he is after him taking his engine penalty. That's applied now. He doesn't have to worry about that for the rest of the season unless he DNFs quite a lot, which probably won't happen, so he should be fine towards the end of the season. Konzo in 12th on the mediums, as well as Papa Scotch in 13th. Larkin in 14th on the softs. Cam in 15th, Leroy in 16th, and Jacob right at the back in 17th, and they're all starting on the medium tyres. I'm a bit shocked, actually, Nick starting on the hards, but we got all three tyres used in this Grand Prix. Surely if there's no safety car, medium's probably the best option because, again, they're the ones that are the softer the tyre compared to the hards, and the crossover point is quite close between the softs and the mediums anyway, so if I were you, maybe the mediums might be the best option, but what we saw in P2, early safety car, the ones on the softs benefited.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the safety car being a possibility early on, maybe I don't know what Nick is thinking in terms of the hards. Maybe he's seen something in practice that the rest of us haven't. But yeah, I would have thought everyone would have been starting on the mediums, have a wide flexibility in terms of the tyre strategy. Tony starting on the soft, so it's going to be very interesting. He's going to be looking to make up moves very quickly, starting from P11.
I think if you're the one to take your engine penalty, starting on the softs is a brilliant idea. Larkin want to try and make his way up through the field, and there's quite a few people that want to keep it very, very conservative. What would you do if you were racing? What tyres you would start on? And we got a few responses in the chat. I will read them before we start. Colin said, great lap by Lukey. He's rooting for Nick for the win, and he's predicting Nick Lukey in that slot top 3. And Sloppy Flipper, I think that's how you say it, won't be hard to be more exciting than today's Singapore race. Yeah, today's Singapore race was a bit rubbish, wasn't it, guys? Not much happened. And Colin said there's a huge risk on Nick starting on hards. I agree with you, but as Marvin got disqualified from the formation lap, but I think he's going to get going anyway for the main race. There's all 17 cars lining up on their grid slot. Casper taking a very weird angle, and he's towards turn number 1, it seems. Yeah, it is quite weird on Lukey, as we're hopefully about to get underway. It was a very long hold before. Are we going to get going, guys?
We're holding on.
Come on. I'm going to end up talking for England at this race if we keep going. I need my food.
Don't worry, as someone that will talk for Wales all the time, trust me, it's okay to talk for England.
So everyone's on the grid slot. Okay, I think, unfortunately, we may have another lobby restart here. We may have to go to the intermission screen.
Potentially. Obviously, I think we saw this issue a few game cycles back where.
Well, we thought it was going to be getting rid of.
Huh?
And we thought this glitch, well, this feature will be getting rid of.
Yep, I think we saw this a few game cycles back. If the last person on the grid gets himself disqualified, and I just kind of mess up the lobby, but so I haven't seen it on this.
It's not. I think it might be J. Cole's fault. Yeah, it is a fun little race. I'm just watching the tyres go down and down and down from all the drivers. Yeah, I think if I was Lukey, I would do a lobby restart because I don't. Let's see if we could try and get the No, it won't be fair if we get the disqualified drivers leaving the session because it was retired them for the Grand Prix. So yeah, I think it makes sense to have a lobby restart. And Colin says, Mike, you took the words out of my mouth. Yeah, and the lights man is having a ciggy. That is true. So, yeah, looks like we had confirmation from our TA coordinator that we are having a lobby restart. So, lobby restart from everyone that's just retired from the session. And, Mike, another good feature on the F124 game is that the lobby just doesn't start after people getting disqualified. Lovely stuff.
Fantastic feature, very top tier feature to be added into the game. And personally, I think J. Cole too much sweating, not enough practice on his formation lap. Good position. That's what I think.
And I believe formation lap will be turned on. No, I don't want Van Zone. Go away. No. They're forcing me to do Van Zone now, and I don't like it, so I have to go through random screens. So you might have seen a bit of it on the stream. I do apologise. That was very weird. Hopefully we can get underway very shortly. That will mean we have to invite everybody one by one, which is not ideal, but that means I'm going to have to wait a bit longer for my McDonald's. But there we go. Let's hopefully we don't get any disqualifications at some point. We can waffle for a little bit. Let's talk you through what we got coming up for the next 6 races after Singapore. Oh, 7 races after Singapore. Of course, we've got the mystery race in round 6, and that will be a sprint race. Then we got the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya for round 7. Portugal on the 13th of October. Then we got COTA on the 20th of October, which will be a sprint race. Mexico on the 27th of October. Then we've got Silverstone on the 10th of November. And then we got Canada on the 17th of November. I think there's one race I won't be able to do, and that's probably Silverstone, which is, I'm gutted because I won't be here. But, you know, I will be able to make it for commentary, luckily, but not racing. So that is the calendar for you as well. The one I'm looking forward to is COTA and Silverstone. Those are my favourite 2 tracks around this circuit. But it's great to see Portugal on the calendar, Mike. Not many leagues do it. It's great to see that our league does it.
Yeah, and the back-to-back header of Circuit de Catalunya, Barcelona into Portimao. That's going to be very interesting. Both tracks visually look very similar to each other, but are very different in terms of driving. The elevation changes in Portugal are adding a huge challenge for the drivers, and that's definitely one to look forward to for round number 8.
Yeah, Portugal is going to be amazing. I'm not good around this track, but I always love commentating on it. So I wonder if a few people are going to take their engine penalty there. I think out of the remaining races, if you were to take your engine penalty, where would you take it?
Honestly, if I could maybe try to get to either Portugal or Mexico, it'd be one of those 2, because the long straight on Mexico means that you can make up a lot of positions early on, and the slipstream effect running down towards turn number 1 there would be hugely beneficial. Portugal as well as a very long pitch straight also, and I'd be looking at those 2 as key opportunities to take an engine penalty.
That is not a bad shout. I know quite a few people would want to take that as maybe a track that's easy for overtaking, Silverstone being one of them, but that's a bit risky leaving it towards the end of the season. They get the images every week on how much laps they've got left on their engine, so it's the driver's responsibility to keep an eye on that engine to see if it will make it to the end of the race, and 2 times engine wear will be increased if they DNF, of course. So save the DNF for lap 2. It'll pretty much be 4 or 5 laps added onto their engine. So not that much, but if you DNF towards the end, that's going to be very, very huge for you. So you do not want to do that. So that is, of course, your calendar for this season. Season 25. Of course, we were in Austria, Monza, Hungary, and Azerbaijan, and all of them were very good races. And thank you, Mike, for the invite. I literally forgot that the lobby was being raised. So hopefully we can get underway very soon. Lukey will probably have to do the grid again, and we will just need to obviously check that the formation lap is off. Sorry if you guys were waiting for me. I have a habit of waffling for England. I do apologise. But if you were any of the drivers, they probably have seen that they probably might be going onto the stream and seeing what tyres everyone started on. Do you think anybody would change their starting tyre after seeing what their rivals are starting on?
I think potentially, like for Nick especially, being the only one that was on the hards, potentially he might be the one looking of maybe switching on to the mediums from the hard compound tyres. So definitely going to be one to keep an eye on, I think.
Yeah, maybe. But knowing Nick, he knows what type of strategy he wants to do. He knows he may not want to change, and he's even debating on changing a different tyre now. But I don't know. But he probably won't. He'll probably stuck on the hards, to be fair. I'm just looking at the management chat, and they're just debating on what tyres to go on after the tyres being on the screen as well. But to be honest, I know what strategy I would go for. If there was a lobby restart, after the lobby restart, I would stick to the same tyre, because if I go on a different tyre, it kind of throws me off going into the main race. So I always have to start on the same tyre. But my advice, if you want to start on the hards, good luck, because they're an absolute nightmare off the start.
Yep, going to be very slow off the start, the hard compound tyres. And another thing, obviously, Jess, that we haven't mentioned, which could play a factor on the restart, is obviously when the drivers are kind of stuck on the grid for a little bit and have to do a restart, it does kind of knock them out of a rhythm a little bit just before they go into the race. Because going from qualifying to the race, you're in a rhythm. And if you have to do another restart and that, it does kind of knock them out of that rhythm. So I wonder, will any of the drivers be affected by that?
That is a good point, actually. I'm sure these drivers probably have a bit of a pre-race rituals. They may listen to some music during a lobby restart. But again, it probably throws them through the loop. And if you are watching, please remember your setups and your fuel. Thank you. There's one thing we forgot to mention for the first lobby restart is our sponsors. So we go through our sponsors now. Our first one being Next Level Racing. £2,000 worth of prizes you can see on the screen. And that is what our drivers could potentially win this season. Pure Sim Gear are the sponsor, and they will be providing a pair of Pure Sim Gear gloves or socks to the driver with the most fastest laps and poles combined. Vespertine, supporting our championship apparel, they're providing 2 prizes. The winner of the Going Gets Tough award will win the Race the Dream t-shirt, and as long as they complete their pre and post race interviews, attend every race and finish outside the top 3, they will be able to be put into a draw to win it. They also win a One Hub Racing t-shirt if they win the One Hub Racing driver ranking provided by Cam. We've also got our partners SimGrid that are providing our standings, community and platforms, and also Mental Health Foundation. If you are struggling at the moment, it's good to talk, and it's a very good mental health charity that help and support amazing people that are going through really tough situations at the moment. So those are our sponsors. That's one good thing about the lobby restart. Gives us a chance to go through all of them. So without our sponsors, we wouldn't be here today. So there we go.
Yep, absolutely. As the drivers are making sure they get their race strategies, fuel loads, and their setups added to their cars ASAP. And we're going to be seeing who's going to be coming out on top here around the streets of Singapore. And I'm going to put the question out to you, Jess.
Yes.
How many DNFs do you think we're going to see around here, and who is your top 3 prediction?
I'm going to say 3 DNFs. I think it's quite a close grid. Why have I got an invite for a random lobby? I don't know. I'm going to go with Tony. I think he's going to make his way up to first place because he's that quick. Casper. And I'm going to go with Cajman P3. That's my top 3.
Interesting. I think my top 3 prediction would be Cashman, Casper, Tony. I think Tony will make his way up the order, but I don't think. I just think that with the pace that Casper has shown in qualifying, and what I know from Cashman, it'll definitely be difficult for him to get the overtake done on them, unless he figures something out with the strategy. Of course, he was starting on the softs in the first race, so maybe trying to go a little bit out of sync to the rest of the field. But here we go to the 5 red lights.
Oh, I forgot. So anyway, the 5 red lights are on. No formation lap as we're about to get underway for the P1s here. It's time to rock and roll. Casper gets a good start. Lukey, not so much. Jake gets a good start in towards turn number 1. We'll see if Jake can take the inside line through turn number 3 then. That was absolutely beautiful from Jake, but Casper's going to take the short way round in towards turn number 5 as Casper spun. He got a bit of damage to his car. That is not good news for him. Nick's had a good start. He's up to 3rd, but Jake is absolutely controlling the field already, and so is Mercedes. Very tight entry towards turn number 7. They're all banging wheels. They're all quite close together, and Jake's like, just like Lando Norris earlier, if you keep squabbling, I will keep leading. Entities down the inside of Casper in towards turn number 9. And I think Casper's just gonna make that sit this time. Entity did not make that sit. So yeah, that was unfortunate for Casper. That's my top 3 out of the window.
Yeah, same with my top 3 as well. I did notice, though, there was a bit of a McLaren front wing flying off somewhere, and it is Axlock who's missing that front right end plate.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on the tyres, actually, at the moment. I think Tony, Axelot and Larkin on the mediums. Nick has chosen to stay on the hards, which is working out quite nicely, actually. And guess who's fighting one of the rivalries earlier from Lukey? Casper's fought back into 4th, so his damage not too bad, and he's choosing to stay out as well. Tony already up into 6th, and yeah, Axelot is going to go to the pits. Hopefully he's got 2 sets of hards available, because he could able to stretch that for a bit longer. Casper down the inside of Lukey in towards turn number 2, as we already got spinning in the pit lane penalty already, but Casper already up to 3rd. So his damage, if he has any, it's not hindering him. So that's nice. So he still has a chance of this race win.
Yeah, absolutely. But look at Cashman, 1.8 seconds clear up the road. Nick on those hards is going to be under some serious pressure from these medium runners in behind. And Tony, a fantastic start from him as he climbs his way up into P6.
You can tell why Tony has taken his engine penalty around here. He is focused on the pride and on its race pace in general. And he's right on the gearbox of NC, making their way towards turn number 10 now. And very, very tight entry as well. He takes it through 3rd gear, which is what I would do, to be fair. Can he try and go for a move on the hairpin? It's going to be tight if he could get the car stopped in time, but he's not going to at the moment. Position gained for these drivers. We'll keep an eye on them. The one who's gained the most is Tony, up 5 places. Also Nick up 3 places. As you can see, Casper down the inside to this straight, but Nick is not going to give this up without a fight. Casper nicely attacked up into 2nd. Who cares about the damage, he says, as Tony has passed Entity and Callum up to 5th. As Entity has lost a bit of ground on those beams, it looks like he's going slidey. Tony is just absolutely on fire at the moment. If there's a safety car, he's back in it.
Yeah, I was just on board with that mistake there from Entity. A big lockup running deep into turn 16. Losing multiple positions there to Callum and Armed and Malvin, as he was side by side with Tony coming in towards turn 16. Big mistake from Entity, dropping several positions.
Yeah, a bit of a shame, of course, but it's still a long way to go in this race. It's one of the longest races on the One Hub Racing Season 25 calendar, so do not give up. Gap now increased to 2 seconds. So I wanted the damage that Casper might have got, might have hindered him a little bit, but it may just been a bit of more tired degradation. We'll have to wait and see, of course, when the drivers make their pit stops as well. You can see Lukey right on the gearbox of Nick, but the dirty air, especially around here and in this hairpin, is very, very tricky. And we know how Tony can be around this track. Tony fought with Lukey and Nick last week, so it's a little bit of a repeat affair. Callum on arms in this train, Malvin, they're all evenly paced. Apart from, I think, from P9 downwards, they're out of this DRS train from 4th, which is a bit of a shame. But like with any other track on this game, it's very crucial to stay within that DRS train. If you're not, I think that's when these drivers are going to struggle a little bit and just lose a bit of ground to the rest of the field. So Nick's got to get a move on, because we've got a very racy Lukey heading towards turn number 1. Let's see if he can get the move, Mike. Here he comes in towards turn number 1. There we go. Nicely done.
Yeah, nicely done. The next one behind him is Tony, and he's on the soft tyres versus the hards. And the run he's going to get out of turn number 5 by here is going to be absolutely biblical versus the hard tyres. And yeah, he's already onto the back of him, and this should be job done for Tony as well.
Here he comes in towards turn number 7. And there he comes, tidy from the Haas driver, already up into 4th. And he is looking like he's on fire already, as Lukey now being chased down by Tony in 3rd. I thought Callum was going to take advantage there as well. But bearing in mind the crossover point will be a lot sooner than you think on those medium tyres. We will keep you updated on when the crossover point is. It's around about lap 7-8 that the medium starts to drop off against the hards. Callum, it's a bit of contact between Callum and Nick, I think. And Nick's had a bit of a spin. So yeah, those two making contact, unfortunately. What a shame between these two. As Let's hope he spins around in time, but I think there's a bit of front wing damage, unfortunately. No safety car, but yeah, that's something that could have been avoided. Not much base given, and I don't think Callum should have gone for it personally, but Callum might have argued that he had the right to go for it because Nick was on the slower tyre.
Yeah, heartbreak for the pair of them. Nick now all the way down to P14. Callum after that instant drops to 7th, and Larkin with a 10-second. Heartbreak for Larkin in terms of the 10-second time penalty. And that's another thing that we haven't mentioned so far, Jess. That pit lane entry, very easy to get it wrong as well, and sometimes nipping the inside wall, but also sometimes very easy just to pick up that speed.
Oh, look at Tony! That was beautiful. Oh, he didn't make it stick. He didn't make it stick, Tony. He went off wide, and that is a see you later from Lukey in the Aston Martin. Nicely timed from the Aston Martin driver. Wow.
I think we know just how much Lukey has sweated this track. Then the
biggest sweat.
Yep.
He hates me for it in the chat. He's like, oi. He said, how could you? You are the biggest sweat, trust me. By the looks of things. But we will see as the race goes on. I think, as Lukey almost had a bit of an off there, but I think Tony might have lost a bit of ground. I think, Mike, though, don't forget Tony's on the sock on man of tyres. The crossover point is now, and Lukey's already pulling away. I think Tony is struggling a bit on those softs. If I was him, maybe pit in the next few laps because he's losing ground.
He's in now.
Yeah, he's in now. So, yeah, very, very smart. He didn't want to lose any more time to Lukey.
Yeah, Tony into the pits, and as you mentioned, the crossover point right now needs the last of the soft runners to come into the pit lane. And in terms of what this does now, obviously we've got a few gaps now formed. Obviously at the front, obviously a 2-second gap between Cashman and Casper, another 2 seconds back to Lukey in third, another 2 seconds back to Malvin in fourth, and he's under pressure from Entity with DRS running down in towards turn number 7, down the inside goes Entity, and
there comes Malvin.
Push back.
Oh, Malvin is definitely leaving no prisoners. He's getting his elbows out, and a lovely helicopter shot you can see right now. He's going to get the switch back. He has the run. Surely he's going to go for the move here. Nope, he's playing it smart. Fair enough. He doesn't want to go for it here. Otherwise, there could have been an incident. I think in his first race, he doesn't want to go too crazy too quickly because he doesn't want to be everyone's enemy in the first race.
Yeah, and someone else is having a good first race back in one hub. Man in 7th, Catboy K, as he's on the back of his teammate.
Kieran, I have to say, in the top tier, doing a very stellar job, actually. I'm very impressed that he's keeping up with these top guys. And with Callum, Ian closing up to Callum, those two in the RB could really play some good teamwork here. So I'm very happy that he's joined back in at the league, of course. We're almost at, hopefully we'll get a full grid at some point, hopefully in Brazil. Hint, hint. We can see Callum on the move, past the Mercedes, squeezing on each other in towards turn 3. And I think Callum might have the edge. No, Malvin shuts the door. Great defensive work from Malvin as they head towards turn 5 now. But Callum's going to have the DRS. I still think Malvin's going to have the DRS from Entity. Yes, he is. But he's a little bit further back to do anything about it. You can see Kieran just sneaking in just a little bit. And also J-Cole. J-Cole's in out, so he's having quite a decent race. But bearing in mind, quite a few drivers have pitted in this race. So this is not most people's true positions. I wonder if some people are waiting for an early safety car.
I mean, potentially, but you can't always rely on the safety car early on to come out and save you. Sometimes maybe a well-timed virtual safety car will be enough to get you a decent pit stop window. But in terms of a safety car, I don't think we're going to get one at least for a while, if one does come out at all. Yeah,
I think so as well. I think, obviously, with how tidy the racing has been so far, there has been some moments where we thought that it was going to be a safety car, but there wasn't. So it's just about keeping the damage limitation quite tidy for them. But for some people, they really want to push if they like this track, of course they want to go for really tight moves. Now, one driver to keep an eye on is Casper. The driver was around 2 seconds behind Jake. Now he's about 1 second. He's definitely been saving Casper on the last few laps, and now he's definitely going to go on the push, which is really, really nice to see as well. Lukey's dropped off a little bit, so I think this is a fight between Cashman and Casper for the race win. Obviously, don't count out Tony because the undercut is quite powerful, and just like that, Mikey's just set the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, as Entity and Melvin side by side momentarily through turn 7. That's opened the door for Callum and Arm to try and go around the outside into 8. And Callum and Arm unable to get the move done. So he's going to sit behind as well. Kieran in 8th place, in 7th. Just looking at this thinking, okay, where's my opportunity going to come to try and sneak past one of these two up ahead? Yeah,
I think Kieran and J. Carl are in a very prime position, and also Konzo is in this DRS train as well, so he could sneak by all of them. I would have to say this is Konzo's best race so far. I've been very impressed with Konzo's race pace in the top 10. Not being involved in too many incidents, and he's keeping the car off the walls, and sometimes that's all you need around Singapore. If other people make mistakes around you or get involved in incidents around you, you can capitalise, and that's what Konzo has definitely done. Have we got a few more pitters as Lukey has come in. He went very slowly into the pit lane. He doesn't want to get a 10-second time penalty, but that relieves Malvin and Entity to chase down the likes of each other for P3. Kieran as well is in that train. So Lukey onto a set of the medium tyres. Callum, what tyre are you going to go on for? Onto a set of the hard compounded tyres. So alternating strategies between Lukey and Callum then in this first stop for these two.
Yeah, as Tony just passes Lukey there, so just showing the undercut and how powerful that is around here. Tony now up into P10, but a net P2 in this race, I would imagine, in terms of the... no, net P3, sorry, in terms of where he is in the field right now. And Lukey on those mediums is going to have to really fight back at Tony if he wants to try and get a podium at the end of this race.
It was around about 1.6 seconds separating these two now. Anything can happen. We know how good the mediums are for 8 laps. So as long as Lukey could close in, this could be a very interesting fight. But it does depend on if Lukey has any mediums left. And I wonder what tyre allocation he has gone for so far. Lap 9 of 31. If you are liking the action, make sure you give us a follow on Twitch, and also subscribe to us on YouTube if you haven't already. Follow us on Instagram and X and TikTok. We are at One Hub Racing. Any followers will be much appreciated. We've got our second pit stop and third pit stop. Casper and Konzo are both in. The Ferrari power teams are looking to get their first stops out of the way, and I believe both of them will go onto the hard compounded tyres. No, Konzo's gone for a very interesting strategy. Soft compounded tyres. So I think maybe he wants to do a short soft in and maybe go onto the hards later.
Yeah, honestly, I'm very surprised at the console going for the soft tyres at this stage in the race. I mean, for me personally, if I was going to start in the softs, it would either be at the race start or to switch onto them at the end of the race.
I think so. As you can see, it's so hard to warm up these hard tyres. As you can see, Axelot, who's been on those tyres for 8 laps because he had that instant earlier on, breezes past them. And I had that experience on the hard compounded tyres earlier on. It lasts forever around this track. And I think this is what some of these drivers are going to try and do. And for Axelot, it can be a damage limitation race for them, as Leroy has had a moment in towards just on the exit turn 5. And that is, I think, some damage. Yeah, it's a damage on the end plate for Leroy.
Yep, no safety car, no virtual safety car deployed, just a couple of yellow flags. So I think Tony and Casper will be breathing a sigh of release as Kazman is now into the pits.
Yep, he's got to. He had to respond to the likes of Casper and Tony. So he had to come in. So here he comes on to a set of the hard compounded tyres. So let's watch Casper as he makes his way towards the last corner. Tony catching up as well. So will Jake get ahead of the Haas driver. Lucas had the fastest lap of the race. It's going to be very, very tight. I think Casper just edged this one. So is Lukey. I told you that the undercut was powerful, and those two of Casper and Lukey has just proven it. Cashman has gone from a net P1 to a net P4. That is heartbreaking for Cashman.
Yeah, and considering Casper was just about within DRS range for him when he came into the pit lane, he is now a good 3 seconds off the back of Casper now.
Yeah, I think that is, and I think, of course, for Casper, he did the overcut on Lukey and Tony, so it shows that the undercut or the overcut would work. Maybe a bad pit stop from Cashman potentially costed him the time, or maybe just Casper just found a bit more time and he was pushing on the last lap. Strategies. I like it that there's a variety of different strategies around this circuit. It's absolutely brilliant, and it's great that you guys are tuning in. So Lukey, I think, will probably play it safe for the next few laps, but he's right on the gearbox of Tony. But all that's allowing Casper to do is to pull away by 2 seconds. So Lukey has got to get the move soon as Kieran's in the pits. Lukey's got the job done. At an unconventional place, he would do the overtake, and he's up into 5th. But Tony's going to have the DRS heading towards the final few corner. There he comes. I think he's going to try and go for the move here, potentially. Nope, he's not. As Kieran's in the pit lane. And Jake, he's got to get within that DRS train, so he hopes that those two keep squabbling.
Yeah, absolutely, and he'll be hoping that his 5-lap pressure hardcore Montes will help him somewhat in the corners catch up to Tony. And Tony right now, I think, is more than happy to sit in behind Lukey for the time being. So he thinks Lukey will be able to close up to Casper in terms of the race win for him.
Yeah, I think it could be down between these 4 drivers for the race win. Maybe Larkin as well, but he's got that time penalty. So I would expect if anyone wants to do a double hard strategy, they would pit around lap 18 to the end, or maybe even before that if they could stretch those hards out for very long. No safety cars thus far, which I'm very surprised. It's one of the first Singapore races I've ever commentated on where there's been no safety cars so far. So, yeah, that is interesting to say the least indeed. Let's watch Tony. In the last couple of laps. He saw what Lukey did on the last lap. Mike, will he do the same this lap, but to Lukey? I don't think so, as Lukey is pulling away now.
Yeah, I just don't think so, not at this stage. I think the mediums are still the better tyre right now for Lukey. And right now, I'm very impressed with Casper's pace right now, because he's not really losing time to Lukey, even though the mediums should be the better tyre right now.
Yeah, I think the mediums are meant to be the better tyre, but it might just be that Casper's a quicker driver, or Casper prefers the hardcore hand of tyres. There's just so many questions left to be unanswered, but surely we will know in the Driver of the Day's press conference. So we will keep that questions locked in our head, ready for when that moment happens. But we are not even halfway at the race. Cam's in the pits, by the way, for his first stop. We'll keep an eye on who's made their first stop. By the way, Leroy's done 2 stops, so technically he can get to the end of this Grand Prix, but we know that mediums won't get to the end of this Grand Prix. Everyone else has done 1 stop and still has 1 more stop to make with the mandatory 2-stop rule, as Axelot unfortunately gets another penalty.
Yeah, and one thing I just wanted to point out as well, that might be an interesting ploy towards the end of the race. Casper is going to have to do a little bit of fuel saving around here if there is no safety cars.
Oh, yes. How many is he up? Minus 0.6. Now, that is interesting you say that, because I started on 0.1 laps of fuel. Guess how many I ended on? 1 lap extra. So you gain a lot of fuel around there. So I think that's what Casper's doing. I could see his fuel coming down by the minute, and he's almost going to be in the pluses by the end of this race. So I think he'll be fine. Don't panic. I know his strategy. He always underfuels, and he always gets his car to the end of the race.
Oh, what about Cashman?
Cashman. Oh, I can't see with that angle. Cashman's going to be tough, I think. I think all of them are going to hope for a late safety car, because otherwise that's buggered their race a little bit. Konzo, by the way, is up to 7th. That's great from Konzo. I was not expecting this pace right now. We see one of the RBs going for the move. That, I think, is Kieran.
Yep, around your say J. Cole. A little bit of contact on the exit. Has he done it, though? He'll have the inside line. And J. Cole holds it around the outside.
This is beautiful racing. We got the entity trying to close in on this as well. J. Cole, absolutely fantastic. Don't forget he started at the back of the grid and he didn't even set a qualifying lap. And he's already having a great race. Imagine where he would have been if he did set a qualifying lap.
Exactly, and of course, another driver trying to recover his race after early incident and an early pit stop. Axlock is just off the back of this DRS train. So if these guys fight anymore, Axlock might just be able to be towed along a little bit.
I think Axlock thinks that he could be in this race as well, due to this big DRS train, which is growing and growing. And we got, I think, one of the Mercedes, that is Malvin on Waitsy. Nicely timed from the Mercedes driver. His first race in One Hub Racing, and he's up into 12. Don't forget, in One Hub Racing, the top 12 score points up to 1 point, and then outside the top 10, you get a fastest lap point if you get it within that. If you're inside of the top 10 and get fastest lap, you get a point also. So potential 21 points maximum on offer for this race. Gap now between Casper and Lukey increasing to 3.6 seconds. So I think it is Casper's race to lose. He said he needed a good qualifying to do well on this one. And I think his pre-race interview, I've never seen a pre-race interview in a while where his expectations are helping him here.
Yeah, I think it's all going to come down. If Casper can take the win here, it's all going to come down to the second pit stops. When everyone decides to go in. We've seen how good the undercut is around here. Lukey, obviously, on those medians will be the first one to come into the pits. It'll be the case of when Tony and Cashman come into the pits relative to Casper as well, and how much they're going to close up on that undercut, if they are able to get an undercut on Casper, that is.
Yeah, I think if Tony and Cashman have any shot of winning this race, they've got to pit early. They've got to hope that they've got another set of hards available in order to do the undercut, because otherwise Casper's got this one in the bag. And, oh, that's giving away on what strategy Cashman is on. He's got another set of hards left. Oh, so he's not gone for a harder tyre allocation. So if I was Cashman, I would pit within the next 1 or 2 laps.
I mean, it definitely opens him up now, as here goes Tony. He's going to get through on Lukey, and Cashman going to try and fall through. And Lukey goes from P2 to P4, just down the DRS straight in towards turn number 7.
As there's a 1-2 for the Hatties right now. This is looking good for Hatties in the constructors. And now Lukey and the Cashman are going to contend with Dirty Air coming up right now. As, oh, NC's got a time penalty. So we're seeing more penalties. Larkin, by the way, is completing his second stop. So that is
Larkin,
him to the end.
Yep, Larkin to the end of the race says, oh, I think Cashman just turned in a little bit too much at the hairpin. I think a little bit of contact made with the wall. I'm not sure if I saw any damage on his car. I wouldn't think though. And Cashman, I think, getting away with one right there. Very easy to lose a car if you clip the inside wall on the hairpin.
Yeah, I've done it multiple times. It's yellow flag. Now who's that? Oh, it's one of the Red Bulls. Leroy, I think that's a lap down. Yep. He's going to go to the pits up into completing his second stop. What could it be for Leroy, unfortunately? But make sure you finish this race, because there could be some huge consequences for other drivers if they don't keep out the wall. Konzo's in the pits. Okay, that's why he's dropped down the field then. So Konzo, I think he's going to go on to hard tyres, or he's going to be brave and go on mediums. Nope, white striped hards for Konzo.
Cashman, oh, contact, Tony's in the wall. As Cashman tried to find the gap around the outside, it just...
Oh, Cashman and Tony. I just caught the end of that.
I was on board with Cashman for that, and honestly, there was a little bit of space there. I don't know. I personally, I wouldn't have gone for that move there if I was Cashman. And contact made. Tony in the wall, front wing off. I'm not sure if Cashman picked up any damage in that as well, but
I think he's okay, but he's lost a lot of time to Lukey now.
Yeah, heartbreak for the pair of them. And if it was me, I probably wouldn't have gone for that move if I was Cashman.
I would, if you have a set of hards, I would pit now if I was Jake. Because then it gives you a chance to prepare any damage if you have any, and just to get your mind in the right headspace going to the last few laps. As Lukey comes in. Lukey comes into the pit lane. The lap that I would expect if you were to go on to another set of the hard tyres, or even a set of the hard tyres, you would go on for. So Lukey going for the undercut on Cashman and Casper. So onto the hard tyres he goes till the end of the race.
Yeah, and Tony, quite rightly, also into the pits, changed that front wing, and he would have lost quite a bit of time due to that incident. Plus having the front wing change, set of mediums going on for Tony right now, so that's going to be interesting towards the end of this race.
That is going to be interesting indeed. I think Tony would have been right up there with the race victory if they didn't have a little bit of a squabble together, but that is racing sometimes. I wonder if there's going to be some stewards reports from the pair of them, as Konzo gets past Tony. So the undercut has worked, but Konzo's going to be on the warmer tyres. But we know Tony's a faster driver. It has taken the candy from the baby, but we'll see if Tony can make this move stick. Here he comes then. That traction from Speed Tony as he makes his way through turn 7. Nicely done. And he's up into 12th place. He's very brave going on those mediums to the end of the race. Can they make it? Well, you never know. He made those mediums work around Baku. So I know this driver is going to make it work around Singapore because it is a similar characteristic track as yellow flag. I didn't see that one. That was probably Leroy moving out the way. Yes, it is. So that was what that yellow flag was for. Casper, 15.9 seconds is the gap now between himself and Cashman. And Cashman comes into the pit lane for his second stop. Let's keep an eye on Lukey as he exits the final few corners. Will he be able to come out in the lead of this Grand Prix? Only time will tell. Cashman just exits a lot. Yeah, he's way ahead. So that time has cost him dearly right now. And you can see Papa Squatch within this battle as well, but he's still yet to box as well. So that's cost him a lot of time. Casper can pit now technically and still come out in the lead of this race, I think.
Yeah, and that'll definitely be something that he will be looking at in terms of what he can do.
Let's look at the gap. 32 seconds is the gap. Yeah, Casper will still come out in the lead. So I'm not quite sure what the pit lane loss is around it. Let me have a look. I had it written in my 26.5 seconds. Yeah, it'll be way ahead. But
yeah,
Luke...
and,
sorry, carry on.
I was going to say, yeah, Lukey, obviously, probably the one that has the best chance right now of catching him due to not being involved in that incident between
Casper's in.
Between Tony and of course Cashman there. But yeah, I mean, Casper in should have a free pit stop here, be able to hold on to the net race lead, and we're going to see what the gap is, see if Lukey is able to close in somewhat.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Lukey's gone for the hards. Casper going on to the mediums. Two different strategies. Lap 28 is going to be the crucial point here to see if Lukey could do anything about it. Gap now between Lukey and Casper's around about 5 seconds. So it is doable. It is doable for Lukey. So we'll keep an eye on that. As Tony said, the fastest lap of the race. As Kieran makes his way past J. Cole. J. Cole's going to have something to answer to. Late on the brakes goes these two. Just about squeezes each other. J. Cole is in the lead, but again, those two still yet to pit. NC is having none of that either. He's in this fight. Melvin as well. And you can see Atslock as well. They're still fighting, even though they're going to be at the rear end of the points.
I mean, every point matters for these guys. So, you know, they're battling hard, and it's great to see, because even though they still got to make another pit stop. They're showing what each and every single point in this championship means to them, and they are fighting tooth and nail.
Yeah, even though they may not be fighting for the actual championship, they're fighting for crucial points in this championship. And don't forget, if you are lower in your expectations in the team contract, you will not be allowed to drive for that team next season, and that might limit the teams that you get signed for next season if you choose to race with us again. So they just got to get a move on. Obviously, with the lower teams like RB and Williams and Alpine, probably a lot easier to meet your expectations. But for teams like Mercedes, McLaren, Red Bull, Ferrari, that's going to be a lot harder. So we'll see people start to push on towards the rear end of the season if they're not meeting their expectations as of yet. It's a really great fight, by the way. Gap now between Lukey and Cam, 2.4 seconds. So Lukey's got to get a move on at some point. Casper's got to get a move on as he tries to make his way past Axelot. I know Axelot, he's a good defender. He won't make this look easy, but I don't think Axelot wants to be held up here. So he might have to let Casper through. Yeah, I think he's going to defend. He's going to defend. He plants the car in the right place. I thought he was just going to let Casper through there. Oh, that would have been a smarter move.
Not Jess.
What?
This is the team game right now. It's the team game.
To help
He's trying to back up Casper. Yeah.
Oh, very smart. But I doubt Kajman's going to be in for a podium. As Casper gets past. Oh, a bit of contact. And Casper saying, thank you very much, or... it was hard to tell with that. What?
Axlock was weaving and in behind Casper.
Oh, as Malma gets a time penalty. Will Axlock come in? Yes. Axlock is in. And you know what this has done? This has helped Lukey close the gap to Casper. Oh. Did you predict Casper for the win?
I think I went Kajman, Casper, Tony.
You were close. You got one almost right. I don't think none of us predicted Lukey, but that's probably a good thing for Lukey's eyes, because 2 out of the 3 that we predicted has had horrific incidents.
We should have predicted Lukey, because you know how much of a sweat he is.
Yeah, we should have. Even though he said Nick is a sweat in the interview. Sorry. I co-own the league with Lukey and Nick. I like to make jokes, but knowing me, I know Nick's going to try and think some jokes about me next week. So I don't get off that lightly. I might forget I even said this next week. As J. Cole up the inside of Entity, but Entity, there's no margin for error between these two. You could try and get past 2 into 1, but I don't think that will be necessary. For some of these drivers, they're going to try and get on for softs. As we can see, 3 cars in, J. Cole stays out. So J. Cole still leads. I think I know what J. Cole is doing. J. Cole is hoping that there's a safety car, and if there is a safety car, J. Cole can get some softs on to the end, and he can still potentially win this one. I think Cam is hoping for the same thing as Lukey. I swear the gap was 2 seconds a moment ago between Lukey and Casper. Oh.
No, the gap is
6.1.
It's been around 5 seconds after.
Oh yeah, it's about 5 seconds, yeah. And yeah. Lukey had to get the job done. There he goes. And we do not have that long to go till the end of the race, so we don't know who's going to win this one.
To be honest, I think the only way that Lukey can take this now is just if Casper's tyres completely fall off at the end of this race.
Or if Casper runs out of fuel, which I don't think is good. I think... no, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. I think Casper will be fine on fuel. He's on 0. Last time I checked, he was on minus 0.6. Now he's on minus 0.2. So yeah, he'll be fine. Casper will be fine on fuel.
We'll have to wait and see.
I think he does a bit of short shifting a lot, which helps him save the fuel, which I do quite a lot now, actually. That's probably why I gained a bit. Oh, Cam! That was close. That was close to him hitting the wall. Surely J. Cole would have wanted Cam to have a bit of a moment. Thought if you can hear my tummy rumbling there, if you heard it in the background. I don't think you did.
No, I don't think I did.
Good. Because I am hungry.
Well, I tell you who's also hungry, Casper, as he's hungry to retake the race lead on the back of J. Cole here.
Yep, I think he's got to get past J. Cole sooner or later, because J. Cole's not stopped. Casper has. Cam hasn't stopped either. Everyone else has. Let's give an idea on who stopped and who hasn't. I'm looking at the wrong menu. There we go. So yes, J. Cole and Cam have not stopped. Papa's just not done their second stop yet. Everyone else has done 2 stops or more, and we'll get to the end. Here comes Casper. The move has got to be done sooner or later, and Casper makes it through.
Yep, Casper now up into the race lead proper now, and all he can do now is just focus on his lap times, focus on just being consistent. The tyres will begin to fall away at the end of this race, but if he can build enough of a gap, then he should take the ability of Lukey to come back at him out of his hands. I think for Casper right now, keeping it penalty free is going to be the most important thing here.
Oh, yellow flag! No, it's not. I think there's people moving out of the way, but we do have a battle between Entity and Kieran. Entity past Kieran up to 11th. We're seeing some moves being made in the midfield for the last few laps of this Grand Prix. We're almost on lap 26 right now.
Yeah, I think Papa Squanch just causing a bit of a bottleneck in that midfield right now. 14 lap old on his medium tyres as he's got Malvin right in behind him on a fresh set of Socomo tyres. And they're pushing him through the corners by it.
Yeah, I think Papa Squanch is another driver that's hoping for a late safety car. Because the safety car window for set the soft tyres at the end of lap 26. Yep, he's been swamped by 2 cars in one corner. Now 3. Now 4, I think, with Axelot. Papa's got a pit now, surely, for a set of softs.
He has to.
Softs will get to the end, I think. Or if I was in, maybe going to a set of mediums. I think that's what I did, actually. It was around about lap 24, 25, I pitted for a set of mediums. Because I knew the softs, with my driving style, wouldn't get to the end of the race.
Well, I mean, we will have to see. He should be into the pits at the end of this lap, and J. Cole has stayed out another lap.
Hopefully J. Cole's remembered the 2 stop. Surely he has. I know what J. Cole's doing. He's going to probably go on the softs at the last possible moment and try and see if he can go for fastest lap. Sorry, carry on.
I was going to say, potentially, but J. Cole could have... he could have been in that battle with the likes of Malvin, Entity, Kieran and Axlock if he pitted a couple of laps ago.
Yeah, but he could have lost quite a bit of time because of it.
But with the penalties now for Malvin, Entity and Axlock, he would have gained more points by battling for potentially a P9 finish instead of leaving it late to pit and then going for fastest lap outside the top 10.
I keep thinking the yellow flags, but it's for laps cars. As Callum and Armed is out the race, I believe he's retired in the pits. Is that correct, Mike?
Yep, that is correct. He is in the pit lane. He is out of this race, so that should not trigger any safety cars or virtual safety car shenanigans here. As Leroy is going to overtake him on the next lap. Actually, I forgot he's a lap down.
Oh yeah, he is a lap down, isn't he?
Yeah.
So yeah, Callum will be last in about a lap's time. Gap now come down between J. Cole and Lukey, 5.1 second. J. Cole is in for a set of the soft tyres. If you're not on the set of the soft tyres, J. Cole, why did you stay out? So just go on the soft tyres to the end. We'll see where he comes up. Yes, he's going on softs. So he's going to go for fastest lap. Oh, front wing. Oh, that... He wasn't, to be fair, he wasn't doing that bad with a damaged front wing. As yet the midfielders passed them. And let's watch it actually as Axelot down the inside of Kieran in towards turn 1 and 2. Did I see a bit of end plate from one of the two drivers? I might have been.
I did not see any end plate, so I
must have been
can't comment
imagining
if it
things,
was-
yeah. Imagining.
No, I wasn't able to flick onto the battle in time, so I didn't see the end plate fly off if there was end plate off.
All right, here comes Entity on the back of Malvin. Is he going to keep...
Oh, contact.
Entity, contact. Luckily, Ghosting is on, so he's not harmed that many more drivers. He's got the RB of Catboy Kieran to answer to as well. Both blue cars, which is very hard to tell these days.
He's squeezing Kieran near to the inside.
Collins just said in the chat, Entity's had a missing end plate. Yeah, I thought I saw him end plate missing. So yeah, Entity has got a bit of damage. That's why he's losing a bit of ground to Axelot now. And he's now going to be under pressure from Kieran once more, which is not going to help Kieran. Casper's really putting hell to the metal right now. Unless he has a moment, he's looking on the course to win this race. You can see he's trying to lift and coast through some corners. And he's back on the pluses on fuel. Like I thought he was going to be.
Yeah, one man that's not in the plus yet on fuel is Cashman, and he's on the back of Tony for what is potentially going to be the final podium position, because Cam K, has Cam K made 2 stops yet?
No. Cam pit! Colin, if you're in the same party as Cam, tell him to pit, please, or message him, or whatever. Or if he's going for softs, I don't know, he's forgotten quite a few times when we first introduced the 2 stops. But we've done the 2-stop strategy for so long in 100 racing. He's going to be an idiot if he forgets. Papa Squatchy's out of the race. It's too late for a safety car.
Yeah, Colin in the chat saying last time a driver had an 8-second lead, it was ruined by a safety car.
Colin. Yeah.
Oh, sometimes...
That is gutting, but sometimes safety cars don't have... Anyway, let's not talk about that. It's too late for a safety car now.
Yep.
Did Papa retire in the pits as well?
Yeah, Papa retired in the pit lane as well, so
Meow, Colin. Sorry, I'm looking at the chat.
Oh, Malvin and Waitsy side by side coming through the final sector, and Waitsy able to hold off Malvin for the time being, but that potentially could open the door for Konzo, perhaps. No, he's going to sit in behind. As
Amos pit, finally.
Has pitted.
Thank you. I don't think he forgotten. I think he was just trying to make me panic and have a panic attack. Yeah, Cam's gonna go for fastest lap. Don't blame him.
There's the fastest lap, J. Cole.
J. Cole's got the fastest lap so far, yeah. Wait, he's on for a great 5th place here.
Here goes Cashman on Tony. Job done with DRS.
Yeah, so Cashman's going to get a podium. Tony's not going to have any of that, but he went a bit too deep. Jake's going to have this one in the bag. Maybe no. Tony gets him.
And certainly the contact these two had with each other earlier, there's going to be absolutely no love lost between the pair of them. And I think Tony is going to be absolutely elbows out to keep this final podium position.
No, Kieran's left the session. Oh. That would have been points for Kieran. I think it might be points, but don't forget AI has been set quite low. No, Waity! Waity spun! He was doing so well! I jinxed him, didn't I?
Yeah, and Kieran has rejoined the session, so he's able to take back control of his car, so he should still be going in the points, which is good for him. But he's off the back of this train now, which is absolutely heartbreaking for him.
Yeah, that is absolutely gutting, but sometimes when you've been on those tyres for so long, mistakes can creep in.
Oh, J. Cole actually has got a shot at potentially getting a P5 finisher.
Yeah, he can. And he started last. J. Cole is always a driver that picks up the pieces, doesn't he? He just sits back, lets everybody else make mistakes, and boom, he gets a great result. Sometimes that's what you have to do, and he has the pace for it. He's chasing down Axelot for P6 on track. Meanwhile, Jake gets past Tony once more, up to third. We know what the top 2 is going to be, but who's going to get the final podium position?
And that is going to be the big question as Axlock and Malvin are trading positions. You got J. Cole in behind. J. Cole, almost goes into the back of Malvin.
J. Cole, don't fight for this because he's got people around you have got penalties. Surely your main target has to be the one that's got no penalties, and that's Kondo, and he's a few places behind you. So I think that's the driver he's got to... Oh, you almost touched Malvin there. Oh, my goodness.
It's not in J. Cole's heart to not do this out on track. You know what J. Cole's like. He's driven you many, many seasons, and he wants to do this on track, not via penalties. As he gets through on Malvin. Up in the P6 goes J. Cole now.
Yep, he's up into P6 on the road so far. And he will be P5 by the looks of things due to Axlock's penalties. We're not going to tell you how many penalties he has got. You're going to have to guess because we are cruel like that. So, here we go then. We are at the final lap of this Grand Prix. And we're saying one man who's been faultless through it all as Malvin has got past Konzo up into P8. So Malvin... Oh, he's going to drop way down, though, due to his penalties. I don't know how many penalties he's got, but from the amount I saw earlier on, he has got quite a lot. So he's got quite a lot to do. As J. Cole, here he comes. Past that's a lot, maybe. Right on the brakes, here he comes. I think J. Cole's got this one covered. Yes, he does. But let's draw our attention to the leader.
I mean, as you mentioned, a faultless race for Casper throughout the entirety of this race. He pitted nice and early to get the undercut on Cashman, and since then he's not really looked back. He's been able to maintain a comfortable lead out in front, and around the final couple of corners he'll come to take the victory here in Singapore. He almost hits the inside wall there. And
don't panic me, Casper. As we got Lukey coming off the line in P2 to get another P2 in a row. Mr. Consistent and Mr. Sweat. Casper's run out of fuel. Oh no! We forgot about that. And that means Tony gets P3. I was not expecting that. And that means J. Cole just about gets P5. Kondo with an impressive 6, by the way. His best results in one hump for a long time. And Malvin, in his debut in the league, comes across the line in 9th. But surely he would have been higher without those penalties. As we just got Kieran, Nick and Larkin across the line, and that will be the race over. But Casper, domination, and the pit stops that he made at the right time. The undercut was the name of the game here, and he delivered.
Yep, absolutely. As we wait for Kieran Larkin and, of course, Nick to cross the line. As Nick is doing a little bit of weaving as he's coming to the line. I think he might also be out of fuel.
I think so.
Oh, no, into the pit lane.
Oh, Nick, what are you doing? Is he doing what Michael Schumacher did, but that just did not work? Well, actually, that did work for Michael Schumacher, but never mind. What a race. No safety cars, though. Just like real life. As J. Cole gets driver of the day in game, we will let you know our opinions of our driver of the day in just a moment, as Casper does a lovely bat flip to celebrate the win. His first win in quite a while in one half racing, and after what he said in the pre-race interview, I think he deserves that.
Absolutely. And what a win that was for Casper. Like as we mentioned, domination after the first pit stop. He just was able to get the gap with the undercut, and he was just able to hold on to it for the entirety of the race. Heartbreak for Cashman getting the run out of fuel by the end, but I'll let you run through the order.
Let's run for your order then. Some very close racing from everybody. Casper, wins in P1. Lukey in second, Tony in third. I believe Tony will extend his championship lead after tonight. Cashman in fourth. J. Cole with an impressive fifth. Another fifth for J. Cole. He likes his fifth places, doesn't he? Konzo in sixth, his best result. Atsock in seventh, NC eighth, Malvin ninth, Cam in a 10th. Decent result for him. Waity in 11th, Catboy Key in 12th. Larkin in 13th, Nick 14th, Leroy in 15th, and I didn't scroll through the rest of the results. They didn't give us enough time, did they? That was annoying. But before we get...
Leroy was last of the finishes, so it was okay.
Leroy was last of the finishes. Okay. And then there was a few more retirements. So, well, we have to go through our driver of the days. I'll let you go first. Who's your driver of the day and what would you like to ask him?
My driver of the day is going to be the man that was able to get himself P5 in the end, J. Cole.
I knew
and
it.
The question I'm going to put to him, obviously, after not being able to do any laps in qualifying and leaving it so late for your final pit stop, did you expect to be able to carve your way through the field to pick up a fantastic P5 when you came out the pit lane in P13?
That is a good question. And I usually sometimes like to go bold, but today I'm not going to go bold because he did not put a foot wrong this weekend. He had a great qualifying, started on pole, made a mistake at the start, but sometimes it's not how you start, it's how you finish, and Casper finished nicely in the winner's spot. So that's going to be my driver of the day is going to go to. It's Casper. He's going to absolutely love me that he's done it because every time in the last few weeks he said, have I got driver of the day? Have I got driver of the day? And he was always angry at me if I didn't give him driver of the day, but he deserved it this week. And my question is, how does it feel to finally get that win under your belt? And do you think that qualifying helps you get the result today? And that is my question for Casper. The drivers will be voting on that in just a few days' time on Discord. The next race coming up in a few weeks' time, well, next week, sorry, will be the mystery race. It will be revealed very, very soon, and I'm looking forward to that one. Now, of course, the drivers only found out about this track about a few weeks ago. The ones that are going to be watching, they won't know the track until a few days' time. What can we expect from the drivers that they only knew about this track a little bit more recently compared to the others?
I mean, obviously, we expect the drivers to be able to put in an adequate amount of practice, but it's definitely going to be an interesting race, that is for sure. And we're going to see who has actually done some running around this circuit and who hasn't. Of course, it is a sprint race next week as well, so a lot to really take in for the mystery race next week.
Yes, indeed. So make sure you tune in at 7 p.m. UK time with myself and Mike taking you through the action for that one. Both will be on Twitch, and we also got 5 p.m. P2 tier as they take their work. They take through the mystery race as well with Nick and Colin in the commentary box. I'm gonna have a Macca's and a bath after this because I definitely need it. I've been Jess Ball. He's been Mike Edwards. We will see you next week, same time at 7 o'clock for the Mystery Grand Prix. Take care, everyone, and good night.